afternoon, our viewers. Karibu sana to Homescapes today. Of course, my name is Jasmine Wangai. If you're joining us for the very first time, excited to be your host for today in our amazing weekly show, Homescapes. So karibu sana. Today we have an exciting topic. It's always exciting, so I'm not going to get tired of saying this, on friendships. And of course, I'm joined by an amazing team who are always ready to engage you in a, they say, I see down there, they say in a comical way, but we are actually serious as we represent these ideas. You're serious people, right? Okay, I did not misrepresent. So karibuni sana, we're excited. Make sure you engage us. We are always happy to hear from you on our live chat. We will ensure that we read every comment that is posted there, or even any question that you have, or just appreciating the show. We will appreciate that as well. Karibu sana. Our question for today, the team is ready to handle it well, and it has to do with friendships. And the question is, are there boundaries in friendships? Team, are there any boundaries? Should there be any boundaries in friendships? Married people. That's a good one. We'll get there. And I'm thinking of a scenario where I was probably in a dating relationship that was going on well, but as you all know, life happens. And when life happens, we broke up, and that means Bishop warned us against calling the people we've dated exes. Yes. Maybe, let me just say, the former boyfriend, for lack of a better word.
Just call them friends.
The former friend.
The former friend, the former close friend.
The former close. Oh,
friendship is
the
still
friend.
there.
It's still there, or the usual suspects.
Just they move back to the pool of friends, which are just friends.
Bishop is calling them the usual suspects.
They might come back, you know.
Oh, by the way, it's true, you never. Okay, guys, this is the question. This is question. So we broke up. The relationship didn't work out. Life moves on. I grow up, and I'm at this point where I'm probably starting a business. And then I remember, there's this guy that I used to date. And when it comes to business strategies, networking, you know, accounts, you know, pangaing mula, how he should go and where he should go.
He's a born money maker.
He was really good. And I think he will be a great business partner.
Now,
Are you still single?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you might be bringing him back for the goose people effect.
I also feel there's a bias here already.
No, this is purely for business.
To spice up the business.
No, let's begin
No,
here.
it's the skills that I remember that I need in this. Can that work?
Let's start with the question you began with. Are there boundaries? Of course, all friendships have boundaries. There are lines you don't cross in friendships. But when you talk about someone maybe you had dated before, and you decided this is not going to work, whether it ended nicely or badly, you both know that this is not going to work. We tried it didn't work. If this person, and you tried to say you have been, you remember. You don't even need to remember. Most times, maybe they're just your friends now. Once in a while, you call them, you talk, especially if there's no estrangement. So probably this business idea even had come during your interaction with this person. Probably you are still in touch with them, and they have been in your life even now. So I wouldn't think of it a very strange idea to say this person has the skills, this person perhaps even is looking for somewhere to invest. I can trust them now that I dated them. I know them very well. In fact,
Are you looking at Pastor Maggie's face as you talk?
No. It's because
diligent.
You see, the first time we tried to date, for 3 years perhaps we've been dating. They know me very well. They even know how ambitious I am. It's just that the romance never worked. Yeah. But in terms of business, we can do business.
You separate emotions from business. You know, let's do this.
They know me very well. Do you hear that too?
I relate to talk. I'm wondering what he is. This time, there's an existing relationship that is working well.
Yes.
So the romance is working.
Kabisa. I don't need another romance. My romance is working. Yeah.
Okay, we're good with that one.
The other one is a business.
The other one is a business.
Yes, just money and transactions and making more money.
And they know you very
And
well.
they know you very well.
Oh, they know
And you
you.
trust
And
them.
you trust them very well. And you've been together 3 years.
And that's the
No,
only
no,
one.
no, stop
That's
saying
the
it
only
like
one
that.
who knows you well.
You guys are suspicious.
That's
You
the
are
only
making it
one.
look suspicious.
That's
It's
the only
just-
one who knows you well. That's the only one who knows you well, and the one you trust. That's the only
No,
one.
someone you dated for 3 years, of course, they know you pretty well, if you would say. And
Are you comparing? Who are you comparing?
No, there's
No,
no
there's no
comparison.
comparison.
There's just a solid
to who?
foundation to do business.
these facts. Yeah.
It's not safe.
And
the
perhaps
human
they're
heart.
even godly and
You know,
people, in fact, you are in the same Christian
The
community
Bible
even
says
now.
the human heart is deceitful above all things. Who can understand it? How can you purport to understand the heart and think the emotions are over?
No, me, I
Maybe
know. My
subconsciously
emotions
you're
are
looking,
over.
subconsciously you don't know it, and we excuse you for that.
Let me ask a question.
But subconsciously
am
just-
ignorant
you're
of
Just one
looking
my
question,
to,
a quick
emotions,
one,
what's
a
to
quick
draw
one.
them back.
So now,
And I'm
what are
committed
you
to my
do-
marriage,
What
so,
are you are trying to do what here?
Yes.
You are trying to bring two women together.
No, there's no
Or
such
you're-
attempt.
What are you trying to do? What are you
We are
telling your
trying to
wife?
establish a business.
and to do marriage, separate things.
You do marriage separate from the business,
Yes.
and this other friend who is not ex now
Is only in the business.
is only in the business,
Not-
but was in your life for 3 years
And you really well.
and
didn't
trusted you, knows you very
And
well,
you trust them.
and you trust them.
But there are boundaries.
Yes.
As
And
you
she
can say,
knows
boundaries.
this one
She
we
asked
cannot
us whether there are
cross.
boundaries.
It's
So,
just a business.
Should your wife bring up the issue? What happens if she tells you, because you see, to do a business, you spend a lot of time with the business partners.
Which is expected.
Even you go for lunches together
Oh, yeah,
because
sure. You
now you are
strategize,
working, then you get
breakfast,
hungry. So
meals,
then you have
common
to
time
go
together.
Then after maybe mmetoka late, it's late, and you know men like to be protective, so they say, let me drop you home.
You're forgetting. We did this
Let me
for
drop
3
you
years.
home.
And we
And
got to the
remember-
conclusion of
that-
it
Or
will
maybe
never
she
work.
didn't carry a jacket and she was cold when you were going
Then
for the
you were
business
going for the
meeting.
business
Guys,
meeting.
we
Why
already
did you-
tried this and it didn't work. It didn't work. We
No,
cannot go
but
back
you
there.
see, you are still
So what are
doing
you
those
telling
things
your
with
wife?
her.
But that's historical, you know.
Yes.
And you know, you're explaining, probably, he omitted the part that he did explain that to his wife and said, this is
And she
business.
was okay with it?
Yes, and hopefully she was
And
okay
you're
with it.
hoping that you
Hopefully.
No,
Let me-
no,
can
no.
I ask
Let's
you?
even imagine it's an ongoing conversation with my wife. Now I'm telling her, I know this girl, and she's good in when it comes to money. Oh my goodness!
If you want
If there's
money,
someone
you
I can
want
tell
her.
you.
Watch
first-
the business grow.
This
is the chick.
one.
But let me
Yeah.
ask you guys,
Yeah,
kwani,
business.
kwani how do men fall in love?
No, I have already fallen in love. My heart is
No,
for my
no,
wife. It is
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It is
But what is the
captured.
That's not
process?
your
Because
question.
that's not my question. My question is not whether you're in love or not already. I ask, how do men fall in love? Because in my opinion, men fall in love when they're caring for the woman, when they're spending time with her, when they're buying her lunch, when
Getting
she's
to know
cold
them
and you give her
better.
a jacket,
Dropping
when you're
them,
picking and
trust.
dropping her, when you're trusting
Okay, we
her,
won't
when
do
you're,
those
you know,
things. I tell you, we won't
because
do any
if
of
that's
those.
not how you fall in
We'll
love,
meet
then
in the
okay.
office.
But if that's how you fell in love with me who is your wife, you started caring for me, you started doing this consistently.
spending
Because
time
you
with
know you
me,
can do
yeah.
something for someone once a month or
But here
once a
there's
year,
no
and that's
picking, there's no dropping, there's no... Everybody anatoka
But
kivyake,
sometimes
you meet at the
business
business
meetings
premises,
is
sometimes I'm all the
go to the
time.
boardroom.
Even worse,
Businesses
Tasi,
require
we
attention
already
and time.
tried it. It didn't work.
Yes.
So I'm not retrying something that didn't work. Of
so
course,
why
it
are
would
you
be foolish of me
creating
to
an
think that.
environment
Yeah.
that is hostile to your wife?
Aha, that's a good question. Na mumelenga swali yangu.
I
How do
think we're
men fall
talking
in
about
love?
the business here, not the wife.
You see
Yes.
now,
No, Malenge, how do men
you.
fall in love? Why are you not
what
responding?
I'm hearing your wife wondering in her mind.
I think the very
So-
things you've listed
So what
is
you're
the
trying
way.
to do is to bring in another woman into our relationship. You are bringing company, other
Our
company that
business
is
partner.
not.
Business partner. It's not the relationship. The relationship is secure.
And then,
So
and
let me-
then
let- the
do you
other
notice
question-
how now because they have to talk about their work. So the whole time now after they have spent the whole day with her, they come home. Sasa they're always telling you, you know, Nani was
was
saying,
with so and
Nani
so,
was
just
when we
mentioning
went
her
to
all the
Nini,
time, throwing her name everywhere.
like all you talk about because that's your life.
And she was your ex.
And then,
No, we refused the
And
word.
already we fought about her initially.
Your father
She was your friend.
She's my friend. She's
Yeah.
just in the
A
pool
former
of friends.
close
So she's
confidant.
even current. Do you think she's even current?
Yeah, she's a friend, a former human being. with whom you related.
Yeah, we did
I'm
like
trying to push the boundary. He's a human
A
being
former close confidant.
who
Yeah.
also has interests in
Yeah.
business.
So, this
uh,
conversation,
Madenge.
I can see a dangerous thread going on here because in this conversation, this is an ongoing conversation. So you're trying to introduce me to a potential other,
there is no potential.
and what you're telling me that I'm
The potential is gone.
consider being,
It is
the first
historical.
wife.
Yes, it
And
went.
Isn't it? Do you see that?
I
the,
do.
the issue.
I-
Madenge, and let's say, for
Yeah.
instance, you said it's an ongoing conversation with your wife or
Yeah.
this close person in your life that you are exclusive with, because it also happens in serious relationships.
Yeah.
What if your wife is not okay with it?
You see, now my
How do you handle that?
work is to convince her
Yeah.
to see
That
that
she
there
should
is
be
no
okay with
threat
it.
here.
Yes.
That in fact there is an opportunity that will be of mutual benefit to me and her. That we are actually going to make money.
That
Yeah.
threatens what I have between
It
the
has
two
no
of us.
threat. There's no threat.
It has no threat. In fact, she's the conqueror because what used to exist no longer exists
Yeah.
because of her. And you chose her and you've married her. So you can the star just grows brighter
Yes.
into the future. But this other one has dimmed, to extinction to only
it
a
is not
business
even there.
relationship.
It is out. It is
Alafu,
gone.
alafu,
That's
here's
conquest.
another spanner in the works is this former close confidant that is now your new partner. Did you dump her or did she dump you?
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it ended. So
Yeah. Either way, whoever
That's
kills
it.
Because
you,
because it
Was,
could be
uh,
that she's the one who left you, but you didn't leave
but
her.
you didn't
Yeah,
leave
so you
her.
had
No,
and
no,
then
no,
here
no.
she is
Of
back.
course, I cannot do business with someone who's I still have feelings for attractions. So the starting point here is there is nothing between me and this woman.
Me, I don't understand why you're going for this particular one you used to have something with. Why can't
there
you
are
just
because
go
of
for
her
anybody
business
else?
acumen. He
Yes,
said
I
because
know
of her
her.
business
But
acumen.
there's many people who have great
Wow,
business
and
acumen.
there are many more. And
Because
there are many more that have the skills.
Reverend Maggie, and there's already one
But me,
here who
I
know
continue
very
to ask.
well is,
Let me throw this
business
question
minded.
to the host because I'm not being responded
Listened
to. How do men fall in love? Me, if you tell me there are other ways of falling in love, then it's okay. You can spend all your time. If time is not what leads to falling in love,
Yeah, but the
Then you
the
can-
question of love doesn't arise. You see, it was there. That is a former state of affairs that no
But
longer
have you-
exists.
Are you-
That
have
was
you
his
not
argument.
seen how you had
Are
a
you saying
human,
it's not
human being in the
possible
past
to
with
rekindle?
whom you rekindled something, and people are married even to people who they dated, and then they broke up, and then they met again? Because you see, sometimes you break up because of certain maybe character issues, Nini, and then the Lord works on you. And you change your mannerisms.
But
and
this is a man who's
suddenly you
working on
become
his
a
current
warrior
relationship, not
person.
the past
So
one.
3
I am
years
no
ago, I'm
longer
not the same
looking.
person I was
I
3
am
years
no
ago.
longer looking.
So I'm worthy
Right.
again to be considered afresh.
You see,
let me-
the
let
By
consideration-
others, not by him.
The consideration would come in if I was still looking. But I'm no longer. That door is closed. My wife is huko ndani, nishafunga hiyo
But let me
mlango.
ask you a question.
So it has no possibility.
You are
to-
not looking.
Yes.
Are you sure not be looked for?
Yeah.
Kuna maji. Reverend Wagi apewe maji.
check-
Suppose you're being looked for.
So you're putting yourself,
This
you're
person is
positioning
also a
yourself for
believer.
consideration, right?
This person is also a believer.
Are you saying
So you're
believers
putting
don't
yourself-
look for one another? Are
They
you saying
believe it is
believers
honoring
don't?
to God to honor my marriage. So I don't expect they'll come with ulterior motives in
But
this
have you
business.
also heard the scripture
Because
saying
they
the
also-
enemy is prowling?
Crouching.
Yeah,
at the
crouching
door.
at your
Hey, how
doorstep,
do you
prowling, looking for whom he might devour.
Today they will unleash scripture. Wow.
Wait,
What do you do with that
we are
scripture?
in the same community of faith with this person, and I trust that their relationship with God is solid.
Yeah,
so
solid.
that's why I'm not afraid.
They're also pursuing other relationships,
Other- that's
healthy
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
And they know about boundaries. They're keeping their distance.
We
So
These guys, you guys have a case, and it seems then we're stuck on the opposite gender issue. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
is this issue just amongst opposite genders, or are there friendships that come and threaten the thriving of relationships? And this can be, again, I said I painted two pictures of relationships: marriage relationships
Yeah.
and serious. Acha ni put hapo. Serious
Serious.
dating relationships.
Yeah.
Media team will
Seriously
put
dating.
an in a car.
Serious.
Those things that jump on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, you say serious dating relationships
In
that are
red,
headed
kwanza
to marriage.
inakaa ni serious.
I'm wondering, are there friendships that exist
That are so close, like
are
those
close.
business
Yes.
relationships.
It doesn't,
that
yeah.
can-
The gender doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
for instance, I'm thinking like Revlo or Pastor Madengi here, you guys are married. Are there friendships that exist with your spouses that vex you? You know, it doesn't have to be that it's
Yeah, I
a
just
chick,
want to
but
go
you
back
know,
to the gender issue. I feel like the men have that behavior a lot. They
But
want
I just
to
wanted to
be
say,
friends from here to
Jenny
Timbuktu.
must never be left alone. It must
be left
remain
alone.
core from morning to evening, you know.
You see, the first complication Jasmine introduced, which was very unfair, as I say, is that it's an ex. Let's even imagine it's just my family friend or someone who've been friends for the longest time. And I know perhaps even there are some ladies here who are listening who perhaps who are friends hata kutoka primary school huko. So, are you saying that I cannot do business with my family friend hata tulicheza what do we call these
Kati.
games?
Kati.
Hide and seek and kati tukiwa prima.
So you see, no,
Before you even
primary.
knew that you were a boy.
Yeah.
Me, let me tell you,
And
where,
now you're being
where my
threatened
first
even by
issue is that pretending that the only reason I'm hanging out with them is because of the business. Why don't you just admit that I really like them as a friend? Just stop hiding. Let's just talk about the fact
No,
that
you're
he wants
just-
to be
you're
But
trying
friends.
to
actually, no,
legitimate.
he wasn't even pretending. The reason that he was free to do that, it could be just that they are friends. In fact, the issue of dating and all that, it doesn't even has never even a reason. There's no romantic attraction between them. But this is somebody that I know,
But
and
it
I've known
starts
for a
that
long
way.
time. I know their family. They know me. Like you say, maybe you went to school together. You share history. But the only thing then that becomes the issue is that they are not the same gender as you. And then therein, must we see, I'm wondering, must we see a threat in everything gender? Or should we at least be comfortable enough
Why
to
do
say,
you guys see that as a threat?
Yeah,
Are you trying
that's
to
why I
look
was saying, this is
legitimate?
just another, can I look at them as another human being?
Are they really another
With
Is it
legitimate,
just a girl? Is it just a girl's issues, or do you guys? Let's say, for instance, okay, let's turn the tables. I'm the one in
Yeah.
business, and I have this my
Your
former
buddy.
close
close
confidant mwenye tumeachana
okay, hapo
nimembring
umesema
on board.
close confident, we need to define.
Former close confidant, you know, former.
But there's a confidant
But then
element.
this business idea comes up. Are you okay with me as your wife
or close
having them on board
friends.
as a partner?
Yeah. I think that is because I know my wife well. If she brought the issue to the table, I'll make a judgment call. And if I know that there is nothing, because I know who she is, and I also know the other person, then, I mean, if there are genuine grounds for them to want to venture into business, I think I'll be comfortable to say yes. Because if ever anything comes up or there are certain red flags, I know how to look for them. You know, I have powerful torches, you know, za kumulika. And if I see changing behavior, changing mannerisms, you know, there are certain malarias that come with I will know. And then that time I can say, hey, I don't think I'm comfortable with this. But I don't think my reaction is like, how dare you,
In
opposite
the first
gender,
place,
Nini.
yeah.
You know, if it is true, because, you know, sometimes there's also a working relationship. Let's talk about in the workplace. There are colleagues with whom you work well with, whether they are of this gender or the other, whether, you know, they are the same gender as you or not. So you can't again say, oh, opposite gender, we can't work well with you. You know, sometimes people just have a genuine good friendship and you work well together. You get each other, you understand each other. And you can't stop the flow of good work that comes with good relationships that synergizes, and therefore the output is better. You actually encourage that. Does it always flower into a romance? Maybe not. Can it? Yes, maybe it can. So if there's a spouse involved and they perceive there's a threat, then you can always say, hey, I don't think I'm comfortable with you working late nights with John or with Joseph or whoever it is. And that's probably we can say that's a legitimate concern. And legitimate in the sense that whether it is based on truth or not. Because sometimes it's not you who's the problem, it's not John who's the problem, it's me who's insecure.
Yeah.
Because the problem could also be me. And so I think then we must, and because I'm insecure, then I can say I'm not comfortable and I know I can trust you, but me, I'm not okay with this. And you can stop it because of me, because you care for me. Not
Because
that
it's
they're-
objective.
Not because it was going to flower into a
Okay,
romance.
how about this issue that Jasmine has brought up about just general friendships? So it might not be an issue of a person of the opposite gender, but you have friends that I don't like.
And do those scenarios actually exist?
Those exist. I think every couple, when you get, especially for young couples, by the time we're coming maybe to get romantically involved and so on, you've been in your own world for a long time, you're an adult, I'm an adult. It's not always the case that you will approve or she will approve of all my friends or that I'll approve of all her friends. In fact, it's rarely the case, you know. And so at some point when you start dating seriously, and hopefully you're secure enough to speak out and say, by the way, I don't like so-and-so. And she knows this is my friend. I'm like, whoa, you know, hang on, lady. You know, this is like my best friend for forever, since before, you know. But then I have heard her and what she has said, and I said that's probably an area of concern. Now, for us, what happened is that when we went on and got married, then, and that situation persisted, there are certain of my friends that she mulika, that she said, you know, I don't like your company with so-and-so. I really had to make a judgment call and decide, you know, are we going to fight over this buddy of mine?
Yeah.
Because we've now started this, and at that point, she's the most important person in my life. We're trying to build a life together. Am I going to jeopardize this really nice thing? Remember, again, you are in love. Eh? So this is like heaven on earth. So am I going to jeopardize my paradise just to keep some old buddies who probably will become very soon part of my history? Now,
But I'm wondering,
Yes.
There's a nini here, and the tension here that I'm feeling from where I sit is when this girl comes to my life,
yes.
You see now,
that she
the
should come
insistence.
with an expectation of
Owning
to
you.
prune the friends, number one. Ninaenda hapo kuvuruga all those friends who ninajua I don't agree with them. Almost as if they're coming to make me something I am not. I have been with these buddies for the last many years of my life. We have done life with these people. We are close. One of my buddies, if today I lack, in fact, you might not know, but those friends are the ones nikiwa nimesota and we are going out on a date with you, nikiona
They send you
umekula
something.
over the budget.
Tumekula over the budget.
And we should- that's a very good nini.
People like that. And then you come and tell me to prune them off in one day that you know you're not uncomfortable with them.
Yes.
Don't you see there is maybe too much leeway we are giving there? And this regardless of their gender. Whether they are of the opposite gender or
And
how
that's-
much
A similar
leeway
gender.
must be exercised there?
And that's a good scenario that he's painting. Because if I try process it objectively just from listening, how me kwa your relationship, like you're the one having to adjust and everything to accommodate this chick and what she wants. Yet these guys have been in existence
Yes.
in your life all along as you grew up. Like if anything, these are the guys who really know you because they saw you from the young boy
And
you
they're
were
very important.
as you
Okay,
went down
Mimi,
the slide
I want
from
us to
Matope.
explore
But you're
this
forgetting
issue.
you have the capacity to, I have the capacity to retaliate. Na mimi nasema chuja huyu, chuja huyo, chuja huyo. I'm also not comfortable.
Kama ni hivyo tunafanya. Yeah.
Suddenly she hears how unreasonable it
Yeah.
is to expect that.
Now here, me I want to throw. Okay.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, go ahead. Because
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
wanted
No,
to say you have to understand who feels the threat more. And I wanted to add and say that a young relationship is very sensitive. It's like an infant. If you neglect an infant, that infant will be stunted in terms of its growth. So you do not want to stunt a relationship that is young and growing by bringing in threats from outside. A relationship is like a sovereign state. You know how a country must protect its, let me first of all define what sovereignty is. It's the ability to rule self and to govern self. So, if the two of you have formed this union, whether it's a marriage or a budding, very nice budding relationship, it must be protected. It's like that sovereign state. So, enemies, threats, real or imagined, must be dealt with.
Mostly imagine. Mostly imagine. Rarely real.
Have not possessed any real threat.
Okay,
Now,
let's hear about the Maggie
all
side.
relationships must be allowed the space for self-governance, and self-determination. That's only apply to
But it's only
states.
one party determining.
Okay, and that's
It's
what
not
I want to
party.
throw in the word. This is a sovereign state,
Yeah.
we are agreed. But within sovereign states, there can exist civil unrest, which might become civil wars. Because it's not the outside that is insisting on coming in. There's a statement that Bishop has used, and he said, now you are the most important person in my life. Who determined that? Because, you know, some people can feel, I am the most important person in your life. But you have not decided,
You see the problem?
I am the most important person in your life.
The problem lies there. Because the sovereign state included the friends.
Yeah.
When you came, you
Wait,
found...
wait.
You found this entity existing with friends. Now you want to be like Mugabe to chase all of them away.
Yeah, and
to
when-
tell you why country you could.
And when you are determining your Bill of Rights, when you say we the people, it is you and your friends.
Yes, because we don't have a right to have friends. You have decided to rule them out.
You see, let's even use a simple example,
Yes.
like a plot of land or a compound. See, a compound has 4 walls.
Yeah.
You have to put a gate. If you don't put a gate, anyone can come in. You know, if you look at a country,
Again, can I say
and they're
this?
not invited.
Okay.
So, friends, let me go back to this sovereignty issue. So, self-determination is for both of you to determine who you will allow in and who you not allow. So it can't be one person making this decision. It has to be the two of you. And when you open your gates to everybody, so even stray dogs will come in. You know that.
But you see,
That might,
No.
this person who was coming
that might
in,
bring rabies.
Yeah, he's not an outsider.
Yes.
I don't consider them an outsider.
No, wait.
When
You
I
know,
They have
came
no
into the
permission.
relationship, I came with them as a friend.
You didn't.
No.
Wait. No, we are complicating life
gates
here.
Gates are for different purposes. Some people can see gates as not allowing extras.
Others is to lock you
And
in.
for others, it's to lock
Yeah, kwanza, they don't-
this one from going out. This gate is for you, not to leave.
Because somebody wants a captive audience. You know, you are with
To
me,
themselves,
upende usipende.
the entire time.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
that
guys,
certainly
here's
is a
what I'm
problem.
thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. We'll take a short break, and then after we come back, here's what we'll try and explore. Is this a gender issue? Is it an insecurity issue? Or is it for the betterment
love
of the
language
sovereignty
Of this unit.
or she's throwing in another one? Is this a love language issue,
Yeah.
you know, when you're bringing up? Or is it a guarding of the sovereignty to ensure that the citizens there within thrive and get better to get? So allow us to take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss that.
Neno lako lasema nitaweza kuikabili kila hali, kwani Kristo unipa nguvu. Na tena lasema wewe unawapa uwezo walio hafifu, na wanyonge unawapa nguvu. Lakini Bwana, sina nguvu, sina uwezo, niko hoi kwa uchungu. Nirudishie nguvu kama ulivyoahidi, nirudishie nguvu kama ulivyoahidi. Nguvu zako Bwana zitanisimamisha, uwezo wako Yesu utanifanya imara. Sitaogopa,
Welcome back from the break. I hope you're still together with us as we continue with this heated discussion. And before you took the break, we were at Reverend Maggie was passionately defending the sovereignty of a state that is here. And she had passionate points building a case for why the sovereignty needs to be guarded. Reverend, do you want to take it up?
I just wanted to say that one of the key things about this sovereign state is order. You must maintain order. Order must not be disrupted by inviting
And you know there are
outsiders.
policemen who keep order.
Isn't it? Yeah, you must. That is very
The
important.
policeman or the policewoman.
And I just wanted to say that every individual member of this state has the right to fully belong. Because belongingness is a very important piece in a relationship. So for you to belong fully and not nominally, like be, you
By
know,
name, just by name.
At,
This
you're
is just
bringing
a
at an ex, or not an ex, another friend who trusts you and
Who
knows
knows
you very
you.
well.
Yeah, you see,
So
Reverend Maggie.
this is an interference in the smooth running
Of the state.
This definition is being rigged.
The judiciary, the executive and the legislature.
The idea is this sovereign state that is coming to enjoy. I want to take that practical example and go to perhaps the monarchies that used to marry into each other's families. One monarchy wants to come and dominate over the other one.
Yes.
That for them to feel fully included in this contract,
That's
they
another
want to
one. It's
come
not
and
democratic, that's
vanquish
why.
all the friends and
Yes.
allies of the other monarchy,
Yes.
so that it is only them who are existing.
As we are for the separation of powers.
Yeah.
You know, there is no way the state can run smoothly.
Everyone,
The executive keeps emasculating the judiciary and the legislature.
have a hand on all arms of government. There is nowhere they are not involved.
Na gate akisema ifungwe imefungwa.
But you
Even if I
guys
want to go
tried.
for a walk, I can't go. You know.
People out and
We are
because
talking
they are
about
from going out.
a new entity. It's so young. It's just in its formative stages. If we expose this to all the harsh weather, all the elements, this young state will not thrive. So I'm saying, I'm making a case for a unit that is, that word unit is important. A unit that is young. In its infancy, it needs to be protected by both, not one. So if one invites them around in crowds inside, it's done.
The notorious neighboring states.
Notorious neighboring.
The notorious neighboring states.
Notorious
that have had
neighboring
independence
states.
for 50 years.
And then they want to come and speak into a young
What I'm
state.
saying,
How?
Reverend Maggie, you see, if, for example, these two states are coming together, every entity is coming with its own, is coming as a package.
You know, they were not a state before, they are forming.
See, when I am coming with my friends,
Yeah.
with my colleagues, with my family, with my business partners. All of them are part of who I am.
And by the way, they recognize that there is a sovereign state that you're coming to
And
form.
they have
and
no
they're
issue
cheerleaders
with
at
it.
that point. They're not
fact,
coming
You
to
see,
fight the sovereign
Malenga's
state.
state is at you were a state before,
Yeah.
and this
Now-
one was state you're joining.
let
Pastor
me
Magi's
give-
case
Pastor Maggie is saying
is
you
there
were
was
not.
no state.
There were no
You are
states.
forming. You
You are
have to come
forming.
with citizens already. How she's saying, form your own citizens within the setup
Within
of
the
the
setup.
state.
This- Before Maji
confines,
citizens
the
too.
confines of this state.
Okay,
The
the
ones
other
who
one
are-
we'll
yeah.
call it a failed state because it existed before. All right? It's a failed state. So it has no
And
friends.
I seem
but
to
let me
agree
tell
a little bit. Maybe you also have the benefit of developing a citizen that is loyal to you and to your leadership, rather than these ones that never saw you as a leader before. And you
Yeah,
want
you
to
just have
advise
to-
me.
Come on,
They are the ones who tell you,
They're
ah,
nothing.
see,
They're
tell
the
your
ones
wife
who even
to
supported
me.
you when you
Just
were
tell her
coming
this
together.
so that
They
you.
have been
Just tell her.
supportive all
Kwani
along.
lazima uende?
We
Siveni mwanaume.
ni
So
mwanaume.
me, I have a question.
Sasa sikia vile.
You want to introduce and invite the let me call them intruders. You want to invite the intruders.
She has the right word today.
Reverend Maggie, this one. You-
Tumewaita
and you
cheerleaders.
and you want to support.
Cheerleaders. Wanakwambia, go form this sovereign state. We will root for you.
In fact, do you need any help?
We'll have trade partnerships with you.
Yeah.
We'll
Do
do
you need
business
any
with you.
help? We will bring help. Whatever you need, just ask.
If you need trade partners, we
Yes,
are there.
we are here.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you guys know how states like or non-states like our neighboring country, one of our neighboring countries, is not a sovereign state up to this day. I would think you understand why. When relationships are young, when institutions are young, and they're not nurtured, they're not cared for, they are open to anyone, they suffer. They suffer a form of, let me use this word, a form of retardation. So they never grow to their full potential. So why are we inviting a partner to build a unit and we are not committed to it?
Okay, let's then agree that there should be a healthy maintenance of boundaries for the sake of the sovereignty of the state. A mutual recognition that, yes, it's a sovereign state, but also let's also recognize the dangers of total isolation.
Yeah.
You
Because
know,
I was going to ask,
then
how does that healthy balance look like? Because we
Yeah.
noticed healthy is very relative.
Yes.
Healthy for me is taking ugali brown.
Yes.
Na mwingine healthy is keeping away, it's keeping the
Yeah.
keto diet. You know, that's
Which
without the
brings
starches.
up that question that I was asking. Could this be an issue of, I don't know how to relate it to our illustration of sovereign states, but is it an issue of love languages? It's because I really like, I'm a quality time kind of person. So I really want your presence, you,
Yeah.
special to me, not in the wide weary people,
Cloud.
but the other person feels, hey, we were together. You see the way we had fun, Jana, when we were hanging, when we were going for the hike, and that brings
yeah.
A clash.
you're
So
not
even
caring
when we were
for,
12,
you're
we
not.
were still together.
When we were
You
12,
know?
we were together, we were having a lot of fun.
In fact, nikisikia
And-
joke na kuita na kuambia kuja tuteke.
Sikia venye nani amesema.
And if I
Nasikia
yeah.
and if you allow me to paraphrase it, is time, because you brought out an important aspect. Could it be a time factor for the people who are into quality time, and that's what grows a relationship? And it makes me ask this, Tim: is quality time just a factor for people who respond better to quality time, or is time generally, for whatever love language category you're in, is time important in the establishment of this infant state, you know, for it to develop?
My case is when you are falling in love with someone, no one needs to legislate over
Or tell
time
you.
or
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
You are always in each other's spaces, but a time comes when you begin to rise on your feet. And you realize now I am sober. You know, they say you become a little bit crazy when you're not crazy. Your brain is not together with itself when you're falling in love.
Crazy works
It's
enough.
We can work with that.
We can work with
Yeah,
that. You are in class, you're chatting with them, you are walking, everywhere. Even your friends now complain that you have abandoned them.
They're not so
But then
funny,
at some
memes
point,
are so funny.
at some point you become stable. Now you are back to the friends.
Yeah. In
You
fact,
guys
when
come,
the
I tell you what has been
In fact, when
happening.
the Bible prescribes 1 year for the guy not to go to battle, it's also because of the safety of the other guys. Because you are thinking about your wife at home who is just a new bride.
So you're not
you
going
can
to
endanger your colleagues.
friends, yeah.
But after
time
1 year,
comes.
we are expecting that you have come back to,
To your senses.
Your senses,
That
yes.
So
you
you
had
can
lost.
be able to concentrate in battle
Yes.
and
So at which point now, when you ask the question, is time a needful factor? It almost feels like you're asking, should we legislate that you must spend time, even when you're beyond that stage for
It's actually,
needing?
yeah, it's actually more pointed to this. I'm
Building,
stuck.
to establishing this.
This,
I'm stuck in the establishment of the state.
And that's why
So that-
Madaka said there's a 1 year that is almost biblically legislated because they know that's how long it will take you for you to come out of the insanity, you know, or the craziness, okay?
And I'm afraid if you come out of the insanity,
Yeah.
Come back to earth and realize that, okay, there's still a life to be lived and it's okay to eat food because it is healthy for
Yeah.
you, go out and exercise and so on. The other time you can be holed up in the house all the time. But then after that 1 year, the sovereign state has been established, but then you must engage outside of the of the sovereignty. I
Rev
think
Maggie is saying one is too short.
1 year is too short.
imports and
No,
exports
this
now need to,
abandonment.
Yeah.
need to start trading with
abandonment.
that.
now this is abandonment.
What child can
A
be
year
able
is
to
not
live on
enough.
its own and fend itself for itself after a year. So now, I think we are making a case. Your point is important, and I think it is asking, is there a time in the life of a relationship that you don't need one another, or time is not important? Now, those who make a mistake, you leave your country, abandon abandon your country for a number of years or a few months and go to visit the other countries or mind the businesses of other people and other states. Let me tell you what will happen. Your state, nature does not allow for a vacuum.
Oh
So-
my goodness.
You find that there is occupation. Occupation by
guy.
another person,
That's
or
a
that
threat.
space that was sovereignly reserved for you has been taken by the things. And then who do you have to blame?
There is a great big superpower, the US. I want to bring another issue of extrovertedness versus introvertedness. The US is a very extroverted nation, we can say, because they are in other people's business. They're everywhere, spending time with people, knowing how they are doing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But they are continuing to thrive. In fact, that's how they have become a superpower.
So they appear.
Sasa wale introverted ndio wanashinda
Yeah.
they are not growing. So how about letting
In
them...
fact, I wanted
Let
to
us
say
cast
that
the
when
bread
it comes to
name.
the question of
Extroverted
time,
people.
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that perception is different. You see, for the introvert, the proposer of the sovereign state, her idea of time is lockdown.
Yeah.
Utakaa huku 24/7. Unasikia ni kama mtu ameweka straw ndani yako, you are being drunk. And
I will get everything out of it.
Everything.
and then you're like,
All of
okay,
you.
my idea of time, okay, let's also open the gate. Let's take a walk in the evening and come back. It's fine
And
to see
perhaps
how
to
the
see
rest of the
other
world
human beings,
is
yeah.
happening here. So I think
Yeah.
the perspective of time, I mean, is important, but all relationships need time. There's no doubt. It's just that how we perceive that time.
Yeah.
The introvert wants exclusive time with you, whereas the extrovert might perceive time more generally. In other words, that we're still together, even though you guys are here. But now, for her, when we
This is
come
not
out of
time.
here, I'll be told we need to talk. We've been talking, but we talk.
But you've been
There were other
talking
people,
generally.
So
It's
We're not
focused
focused.
attention
About
they're
that
that's
calling
different.
for.
So we need to figure out how then we can plan a hike and go and just be together, because that will be quality time, and also quantity time. I don't think it's just quality, there's also quantity. So I think the perception of time for different people is really different. And you need to understand how your spouse, or if it's your boyfriend or girlfriend, perceive time. Because people trip over this all the time. Somebody feels we haven't spent time together. The other person feels, but we've
But we
been
spend
together
all
week.
our time together.
Yeah.
We come back to the same house, we sleep in the same bed, we wake up in the same house. Then I leave. Why can't I be with my friends the rest of the time? Because since 10
Yeah.
p.m. last night
Yeah.
until 6 a.m. I was with you. I was with no one else.
Yeah.
I spent time with you.
Yeah. So then that takes me back to a point you were trying to bring up on pursuit of a healthy balance.
Yes.
We've seen there are clearly many other factors that are playing in and that bring out the differences. I want to assume it's not just friendships that affect relationships. It's not just, my boys calling one another to go and watch football.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
I'm a
maybe
girls wanting sleepovers.
I'm a
You know, even
girls
us, we
wanting
say, me,
sleepovers.
I want to go
Yes.
with my friends. And the
Yeah.
husband is thinking, but I married you, you should be here. But I've sorted you out. There's food in the fridge. There's clothes on your wardrobe. Everything is fine. Can I go and be with my girls? No, I want you here.
yeah. I was thinking-
So I think that's interesting, because it's not just cross-gender issues. Even like you said correctly, I could be spending too much time with my boys, and you feel that is, I'm denying time with the relationship, or I could be spending too much time at work. I mean, a lot of men are obsessed with their businesses. For some of us in the church, it could be even a ministry. Once I get it into my head that we need to plant a new church, she might feel like, are you getting another spouse? Because of the amount of time
Yeah.
and dedication and
put
commitment
into it.
and the travel and I'm talking to everybody else except her, because it's related to a new church plan that I want to do. And that's something that can be viewed as a real threat to the relationship. And it is not illegitimate, because for the person who wants that kind of close time, that you're bonding and you're talking and so on, short of me carrying her with me, so that we are everywhere else, in which case then I won't feel like I'm achieving, because again I'll be on lockdown most of the time,
Yeah.
instead of being out there. So it could be a problem. Other things could be a problem. And I guess the question of balance is important, so that also we must have the conversation. Are you also okay with the fact that I do have a career to pursue? The career demands that I spend some time with it for it to grow and to develop. Is there a question of security, for example? Could I be the kind of guy, for example, I'm looking at my wife and, I'm feeling like she's becoming too popular, even at her place of work, and everybody wants time with her. How come, how come, and I don't feel like, she feels the same way towards me, spending a lot of time with me, and I'm like, so what was he telling you? And then I become almost, for lack of a better word, obsessive over her, which could be unhealthy. It's a reflection on me, not on her. And Mara, I'm saying, I start grumbling and complaining. You are spending too much time at work. You're not spending enough time with me. But really, I'm feeding an insecurity within me. And sometimes we must know where to draw that boundary, because there are such cases when relationships become very unhealthy because one of the partners is very obsessive, and they're beginning to get into the space of the other individual. There is now no freedom for her to pursue who she is. Her individuality is emasculated and swallowed up in this other individual just because they are feeling insecure. I think when that happens, then we must address that as an issue.
So you're
with the
saying
other
that
individual.
So you're saying there's a point that gets where when exclusivity is pursued, it can become dangerous. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
And then there's this other aspect that you brought up when you brought up the question of work. I remember the discussion we were having with some of our friends, and a list of things came up. We listed a few things, and we were saying, try put this list in order of priority. And these were the things that you were talking about. On that list, there was God, there was work, there was spouse, there was children, there was church community, and the last one, there was money. And we were asking ourselves, put this list in order of priority according to you. What you see, this is the priority. And it was very interesting just looking at everyone's list.
Yeah.
And so I want to throw that challenge to you. And as I throw this challenge to you, Bishop, you could probably, and even just all of us here, help us reflect on that list. How to gauge, how do I gauge what is more important to me?
In fact, a good question on that list would be, is there a good list to
Exactly.
have? Is there a decided factor that if you're a Christian, there should be God, and then, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Ama it's okay for me to decide money is, okay, God, because I'm a Christian, and then money. And that's okay for money to come before my spouse. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. And this is,
Because I also feel if you are using the issue of time and money, there are some things that will take priority at different stages of life. We have been through 2020, and some guys lost their jobs and they have to build up a business, for example. And now you are in the initial stages of building a business right now. You have to spend a lot of time with business partners, you have to find investors, you have to invest so much time and energy and money in bringing up that business. And we are not saying it's forever, it's just for a period of time, maybe 5 years, and then after that, I come back home, I spend all the time you want.
All the time and money now.
so that you're essentially saying the list fluctuates over time.
Does the
I'm
list
of
fluctuate?
money.
Is there a right way to have a list?
Yeah.
If my spouse during those 5 years of me setting up a new business, or as Bishop said, a new church, or whatever that would be, that is demanding so much of my time and energy at that time, would it then be legitimate for the spouse to say, you have prioritized something else over me? Is it okay? In fact, I can defend it and say, yes, it is true, I have prioritized this over you for now, for the next period of time, and then after which we can continue, you can go up on the list again.
But I thought it's me
might not
against
even
the world,
mean that-
all along.
Always.
It might not even
Always.
mean that
And
you
she's waiting for
prioritize
5
something
years.
else over her.
Yeah.
And
Because-
she's waiting for 5 years.
Because these things are, how do you gauge, for example, because like relationships are heart issues. I can't say because I've spent, the last week in Kisumu scouting for a church plant that she was not anywhere in my priority. She was still there. In fact, way up there. Way up there. I thought of you every night. Really.
But of course, there's a checklist. Like, also, the spouse can check how many times did you call me?
Yeah.
How many times did you pray for me? How many times did you think about me, you know.
But you know, that's another issue that
And you know, some
spouses
people,
present
you
to
know,
their
spend a
spouses.
lot of time, you know, with their spouses this last season, just because they were working from home.
Yeah.
Not because they chose.
Or because they're quality time
because,
people.
Yeah.
because they
I
didn't see
didn't
it
have
as
anywhere
quality
to
time.
go.
But still, those are worthy reflection times because you know, where we spend our money where our priorities are. We also spend our time where our priorities are. So it can't be that God is getting zero time, whether it's in prayer time or Bible study or even in conversations like this, and you say, oh, God is a high priority. Or it can't be that I don't regularly see my wife at all and we don't talk, and then I still insist she's a high priority. Somehow, it must factor in that I do spend some time with her, and I do spend, hopefully, some money on her, you know, whether it's in buying gifts or taking her out or whatever it is. Because, you know, somehow it does come into the reflection. And yes, there will be different seasons when I concentrate more on one thing than on another. But on the overall, on the average, you know, if you're constantly scoring, you know,
Low.
on a 0 to 10 scale, you're always 1 or 2. It does speak something about what I think about that individual or who they are to me, etc. I can't be that I'm a good Christian, but you never get me in a fellowship and I never come to church. Somehow it factors into that. Is church or God really a priority on me? So those are things I think we can personally reflect on because we each know what season we are in life at that particular time. And we know whether it's just a season or it's just a habit that we have fallen into. And sometimes we fall out of love with God. And so it reflects on where we spend our time and our money, you know. So I think that the balance is important. Yeah.
Okay. Rev Maggie, do you have an addition to those very words on deciding is priority needed? Is there a proper priority? What should I gauge? How should I even gauge
Okay.
when it comes to this listing?
I just wanted to say a quick one before I come to your question that
Sure.
keeping your wife
Regular.
pending or your husband pending so that you can focus on something, that's not right. Because
Madenge.
That's not right.
5 years, yeah. So I just wanted to say that they are not incompatible. Relationships and work and ministry are not incompatible. They can work together. They are made to exist together. But having said that, let's respond to your question and say that in terms of setting priorities, I can gain this a writer. This writer, I think, is Larry Crabb. He talks about the circles of need. It's very illustrative that the crucial level, the critical level, and the casual level. At the critical need level, at the center of the circle is a place for God. If you place God at the center, He will be able to influence your other important things. And the other important things is the first one is crucial need level, the critical need level, crucial is humans, people. Those other humans belong to this category. And then things come number 3, and they are casual. Things are casual, so you cannot ascribe or assign to them a value or an importance that is not due to them. So, if you place God at the place where only God can belong, then that relationship with God will influence how you relate with people and how you relate with things. So it can never be a confused space, whether I'm going to pend, because I'm focusing on project A, I'm going to pend God for now, and I'm going to pend my expenditure on God and my relationships that are core to me.
That's where we say it's a drop mic moment,
Yeah.
and then you pause
Yeah.
and reflect. Thank you so much. Oh, these are we pausing deep words right there. Yeah. Thank you,
The
Rev
psalmist
Maggie.
would say, Selah.
Selah.
Stella,
Yeah.
Thank you. Bishop, probably as we wrap up this discussion, is there a unifying factor into this question that we have? You know, we've talked about many factors, you know, that come and affect relationships and stuff. Is there a unifying factor? Are there boundaries in friendship? Should there be boundaries in friendships? And what do we see Scripture instructing us as we battle with this question?
Yes, I think there's a place for balance, I think, and wisdom. I think Scripture will always ascribe us to have a balance in the way we live, a healthy tension, because sometimes, you know, either extreme could be dangerous and harmful. for example, she talked about the lockdown. There's a place where the gates do need to be secured so that not everybody is coming in or going out. But again, the counter to that is that we protect the gates, and even as we protect the gates, because we want to say, if the marriage, for example, is sovereign, then we don't introduce a third factor that could destabilize the union, because it's not just sovereign, it's sacred, okay? But when it comes to the question of being obsessive, that could also be unhealthy to the relationship, because it prevents real bonding. And if I'm obsessing over my wife, then I turn her into some kind of an idol, meaning if there is no room for God, and I seek to be controlling and to be her everything. I cannot be that. So I must make room for God. And so I think we have to have balance. And what the Bible then says, maybe just to read a scripture, not directly related, but in Ephesians chapter 5, it does tell us, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit. Speak to one another with psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. Sing and make music in your heart to the Lord, always giving thanks to God, the Father, for everything in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Then submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. I won't even get to wives submit to your husband.
Please don't.
Just reach there, submit to each other.
But look at this is just how we should relate as human beings. It says submit to one another out of reverence for Christ, even before going to the exclusive relationship. But the call to wisdom, the call to be filled with the Holy Spirit is, I think it's a call to be guided and led by God. Because sometimes we think, for example, in the example that was being asked before, that, I'm secure with this lady. I could be saying that, yeah? I'm okay. But she said that, the heart could be really deceptive. So there's a place to invite the wisdom of God and know, all things are good, but not everything is useful. Is this one of the things that are not useful, and therefore I should drop it? So to be filled with wisdom, guided by the Spirit of God, because God is able to tell us, I think here you are overstepping your reach, and you're not even safe from this point onwards. And then be submissive to the Spirit of God and the Word of God. And the Lord will lead us well in terms of how we relate with one another.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for engaging vibrantly. This has been a very edifying conversation for me, even as we banter and we go back and forth. It's really amazing reflecting on all these angles and not just be stuck on one side. So God bless you so much. And to your viewers, asanteni sana for joining us. I hope you have had a great time like we have had. May God bless you. And until next week, stay safe.